the powers of speed. Early on in this race.
It's a new season of Spec-5 World Tour, and it kicks off at one of the most beautiful, most renowned racetracks anywhere in the world. One of the best for this style of racing. It's Daytona International Speedway on the road course for 45 minutes for season 15 of Spec-5 World Tour as it returns to your screens here on HJBC. Weather looks quite nice. Track length, of course, 3.5 miles, 11 turns, but of course, some of the most challenging ones. The big braking zone in towards turn 1 to take you into the road course, and what they now want us to call the Le Mans chicane. Again, forever the bus stop in my heart, but a challenging corner in a car with no downforce nonetheless. Qualifying starts shortly, and that sets the grid for the 45-minute race that starts this 13-round season.
We're better to start than at the International Temple of Speed here at Daytona Motor Speedway. They took a 16-hour flight from Monza and figured they didn't have enough full throttle time there, so they decided to come to the Super Speedway, eh?
And the calendar looks like Daytona, Fuji International Speedway, Road Atlanta, Silverstone Legacy Circuit, New Hampshire Motor Speedway, Circuit Zandvoort, VIR, Road America, Mount Panorama, Misano, Mid-Ohio, the Nürburgring Nordschleife, and a season finale to be decided. At this point, there is a lot of returning names and then also quite a few new ones to this season as it restarts in 2024. One thing that remains to Spec-5 World Tour is the two categories of drivers, the Pro Class drivers, the Open Class drivers. Winner of Open Class gets promoted to Pro. Gives everyone something to fight for all season long. And qualifying has begun. The drivers are leaving the pit lane for their 4 laps.
Yeah, 4 laps of solo qualifying, and we see coming through our fastest driver from the practice session, Shane Sullivan. Haven't seen him on the Spec-5 series yet, but he's impressive. At least if practice times are to be believed, with a 2:07.973. We'll see if he's able to get anywhere near that without the draft, because I have a feeling that we're going to be a little bit slower than that without a little bit of help today.
Live timing today is on HJBC.live. If you want to follow along with your friend, your teammate, any particular driver or car, see what's going on. But to attack 4 flying laps of qualifying, tyre preparation relatively key. You do have the long flat out sections on the banking where the tyres will cool off somewhat, and it is a relatively cool track, and it will get cooler. That's the evening sun soon to set over Daytona International Speedway and send us into darkness, but not complete darkness, as there are plenty of light towers around here.
A little bit of sketchy moment there for Shane, showing those tires are still a little bit chilly as he turned in pretty late into the bus stop, the Le Mans chicane, and he will continue on. He's riding along the top right now. And you can see right there the preliminary schedule for the season. Believe that there might still be a few shakeups in there yet. Heard that some of the drivers were donating to make this coverage and make this series possible. Might have gotten their donations in a little late, so there might be some changes to that yet. But that's where it is right now.
As we know, of course, a check is always in the mail.
Yeah, exactly. At least these guys deliver the trophies on time. I've seen some good pictures from last season's trophy winners.
Yeah, you got to have a good shelf next to your sim, just in case you end up with some trophies. Saw a picture of Santino Ferrucci's home sim set up, and he's got his 2019 Indy 500 Rookie Award on top of a miniature skee ball machine next to his rig, while he's got an ultra-wide monitor mounted vertically, and there's a lot going on there that I'm not fully ready to unpack. We're ready to get into qualifying. The drivers mostly all around their outlaps. Now, for example, Camden Hibbert here onto his flying lap. Cam Eben's got the most purple sectors at the moment, but you would expect in these cars, in these conditions, on these tyres, that the first flying lap is not going to be the fastest.
Yeah, we'll see. It's looking pretty quick out there, though, for the likes of Cam and a few of the guys. We got Rob Hartley setting some fast sectors right now. Oliver Piatek in an open class car looked quick in qualifying or in practice, and we'll see if he's able to repeat that in qualifying. A newcomer to the series, Olivier rather. Not the first time though that we've seen an open class driver run up near the front at Daytona. And he must not have been too happy with how that bus stop went, Olivier, because he's up by the wall, heading to the start-finish line. I think the first one to the line is probably going to be Andrew Gilliland, sure. Let's follow along with him.
Open class right now, still running the Brumos Porsche Classic sort of tribute. He was one of the first to the line. Now drops to 4th, 8th outright, as a lot of other times come in. You really don't need to be concerned about the first of the 4 laps, but Cam Eben has the quickest. He's up top at the moment. Otis Adams might eclipse that. A driver a little later around on the runs, who hasn't completed a lap just yet.
Tied at the top so far. We got 11 times in, and 8 of them are in the 2/10. So looking good. Eugenio Polici looking good in that red and black car. We were just on him. And we got another red and black car here for Otis Adams, as he's coming into NASCAR 3 and 4.
Yeah, so long as you left pit exit with about 11 minutes on the clock. You'll get all of your 4 flying laps in, and I think Otis Adams Jr. here might have been a little cut fine on that. But his first lap sends him to 5th, and he'll have to keep motoring around without really too much of a cool down lap or anything. He's going to get all the laps in the remaining time here. Oh, no, he's probably on the safe side. He's probably on the safe side of that one. More purple sectors coming in from Cam Eben. Ronnie Coates has got one, another driver we haven't seen a lap time yet from, I think because he might have gone off track on his first flying lap. So the second flying lap looking a little more consistent with some quick sectors amongst it. Still the total lap not looking like it's going to match Cam Eben, who's class of the field at the moment.
You got to say he was the favorite when we were bench racing the I ratings before the race. He's got a pretty healthy one of those. Ronnie Coach, though, we've known him to put together a fast race or two, and he'll go and put a pretty quick time up there for himself.
Tech is 3rd right now.
Yeah, Coach put in a 09 with a 9, and that's good for 4th place right now. Camden Eben gets quicker though, or Cam Eben gets quicker though with a 209.3, and then Camden Hibbett, the Spec-5 racer with some real world experience, so one of them, our young gun, 209.4. So it might be a battle between two fast real world Mazda drivers out at the front.
Open class is looking like Olivia Piatek, and then Andrew Gill and Gareth Brocklesby, Charles Vaccaro, Alex Harrison's 5th in that class at the moment. It's his first lap time came in.
Yeah. Michael Chase coming around NASCAR 1 and 2 as Otis finishes off his lap. Michael's running in 5th place after that first lap. Another one of our pro class drivers returning. And another consistent threat for the podium.
There's some really, really quick drivers who don't have a lap time at the moment. Robert Hartley, Joshua Soto, Shane Sullivan, potentially. All of them not yet placed on the qualifying board, and they could really ruffle some up here in the remainder of this session.
Yeah, I see Josh Soto just connected as well and running sometime there. Or was he on your list of fast drivers? I missed it.
I think he was on my list, and we are looking at him right now as he navigates the Lemoore bus stop chicane.
You say them all, and you'll get at least one of them, right? Ooh, Roy Coimbra puts in a quick one. He's just exiting turn 2, but Roy has just put in a 209.354. That's good for 1st place. We'll see if that holds up. Cam Eben and Josh Soto coming around 4. So a few quick cars coming to the line now. Ooh.
Cam Eben's time puts him within 0.03 of a second of pole, but keeps him in 2nd place. Robert Hartley, we're going to see the first time from one of the quickest iRacing MX-5 drivers. You've got quite a few notable names that have been around driving this car, and almost this car exclusively for a while, it seems. It really, really has its fans, this style of racing. It's brought out some of the names that I think I've lost to over the years, over the last 5 or 10. Still no time from Hartley.
Yeah. He's got a couple ones that he's written off there now. Must be pushing just a little bit too hard. Looks like 3 laps and no official time set just yet. Here's
Coimbra to see out his last lap of qualifying If this isn't an improvement, then he'll have to hope that no one else improves, because he sits on a razor-thin margin of just 0.03 of a second at the top of qualifying right now. A couple of non-improved sectors from Cam Eben, but a very, very strong first sector. Meanwhile, there's only one improved sector on this lap from Rui Coimbra, and he knows there's no improvement. Challenging pit entry here at Daytona as you come from the full speed of the banking through the ocean of pavement there to a very wide pit entry. And you need to be able to judge that with very few markers out there. Josh Olsen's 19th in the outright at the moment. And it is a significant improvement, and an improvement above quite a few of the other open class competitors as well that he'll be measuring himself against this race and this season. The only two drivers without a qualifying time left were Robert Hartley and Alex Theologus. Theologus has a time now. It's just Robert Hartley at the bottom of the qualifying pile right now. Soto 18th will look to improve on what will be his second to last lap potentially through this session.
Yeah, unfortunately not a clean one for him. So at 2:10.7 it was, and it will remain. We'll see if he's able to put together a full clean lap there. Alex Harrison coming across the line, repping the HJ logo on the car. Got to find a little bit more speed in that Miata though, 2:12.4.
And now Robert Hartley has a time. He goes to fourth behind Camden Hibbett, Cam Eben and Rui Coimbra, who are all off the track. Qualifying is done for those drivers. They've completed their 4 qualifying laps. There's only a few left that we're yet to have. Brian Chbelski is one of them. Ray Lombardi, Josh Olsen, Otis Adams, he got back out, so I'm not sure what's going on there. And Alex Theologus also has a couple more laps too.
Yeah, Olsen's heading down into the Le Mans chicane here. We're following along with him. See if he can push it just the right amount. Tricky corner, that one. You got to get so far to the left, but then not too far left on the exit. And I think he pushed that just about as far as he could, and too far, judging on the application of the brakes that he did there. Not usually the fast line. Yeah. So we'll tick back to Josh Soto in that 135 car. He's just heading into Le Mans chicane now, and I suspect his lap still counts. Nicely through the bus stop there.
Looking like the third flying lap right now for Joshua Soto, and in a session configured like this, he won't get a fourth. So this is all or nothing now for Joshua Soto to see if he starts up with the leading group, and you want to be part of the leading group on a super speedway, or if he's starting 20th back in the field. He'll be hoping to maybe at least jump towards the top 10, so you've got someone to work with, someone to bump, someone to slipstream. He's going to take the shortest run to the timing beam, famous Daytona banking, and send himself to 6th, behind Ronnie Coates in 5th.
And Soto's bad fast in a Miata. We've seen him do a lot of work over in the Champ Car iRacing Series on Wednesday nights on this channel.
There's a few other drivers that are done and just practicing their pit entry and bringing their car back towards the pit road. Most cars are no longer on the track. The few that remain are Ray Lombardi, Otis Adams Jr. and Alex Harrison. And this looks like the last lap for Ray Lombardi. He's 13th. He moves to 11th, jumping Simon Foweather and Michael Chase.
Yeah, good final lap for him there, running that gold and purple livery. Looks nice.
Not seeing much improvement on this lap for Adams.
Yeah, and I think he's slowing her down, maybe bringing her in.
That's everyone, and that's the session, and it sets the grid for the first race of the new season in 2024 of Spec-5 World Tour. This is season 15, and the first time we see these drivers in this championship return in the new year. The front row for the rolling start will be Rui Coimbra on the inside, with Cam Eben up high on the outside. Behind them, Camden Hibbett and Robert Hartley, Ronnie Coates and Joshua Soto for row 3, and Michael Coates and Oliver Piatek. Got Shane Sullivan and Eugenio Polici as our top 10, Devon.
Yeah, starting 11th place, we've got Ray Lombardi, 12th, Simon Foweather, Michael Chase in 13th, Mitchell Peak in 14th, Gareth Brocklesby in 15th, Josh Olson in 16th, Otis Adams in 17th, James Newell in 18th, Andrew Gilliland in 19th, Jordy Fike in 20th, David Staub in 21st, Alex Harrison 22nd, Brian Shapelsky 23rd, Alex Theologus 24th, Charles Vaccaro in 25th, and Orlando Harrell in 26th. Now, just to recap, of course, there are the two classes in this series. So you got the red underlined names for our pro class drivers and the blue underlined names for our open class drivers. Leader in our open class series is gridded 8th right now, Oliver Piatek. Second, gridded 15th, Gareth Brocklesby. And third, Josh Olson in 16th. And that delta of positions is going to be really important today because all of the points are doled out relative to your finishing position in both classes. So having 8 positions advantage means you've got 8 positions of points advantage. We'll see if Olivier's able to hold on to that today. And we're seeing on the bottom there some information, Haynes.
Yeah, about the driver names and the car numbers and the members of the league who voluntarily put their support forward to help host all the sessions, help put on the broadcasting, help make Spec-5 World Tour the best it can be. Beautiful orange haze over the skies of Daytona, and the lights have come on. I imagine when you flick that switch, the sound must be impressive as you switch on a couple kilowatts of lighting for sure around this place. If you go and you do the tour, they tell you about the lighting and all of that. It was good fun.
What'd you go and watch at Daytona?
Me and Antonio were in town, and you can do the tour. You pay $20 and they take you around the track, and you get a little cute little tour guide thing, and you can take your photo standing on the banking and go, that is pretty steep actually.
Classic. I took the same ride around Indianapolis when we went to.
Yeah. The problem I always have with those is they're like, okay, and now you can kiss the bricks, and you're like, I don't want to kiss the bricks actually. Like,
yeah, you pose by the lane. You got to win a race to kiss it.
Yeah.
And
so it's all eyes on the pace car with 45 minutes on the clock as it pulls in. The drivers are 2 rows waiting on the green flag. The fans are all in attendance, which is beautiful to see, and we're racing as Spec-5 World Tour kicks off in 2024, and even start as you would expect. But Piatek, he's off through the grass already. He got a bad bump from behind, and there's a few wrecking on the way down in towards turn 1, like Michael Chase.
Yeah, Michael Chase got a little bit of help from behind there. Looks like the car of Gareth Brocklesby, actually, when they checked up, Ray Lombardi tapped the brakes, and then Michael Chase got collected. Hard hit.
So there seems to be 2 potentially damaged cars, but the rest carry on with Rory Coimbra holding onto the lead through the horseshoes to the infield. Robert Hartley gaining a position up into 3rd off this race start, sending Camden Hibbett backwards to 4th. Still cold tyres for all involved on what is a continually cooling track. Joshua Soto up into 5th as he got ahead of Ronnie Coates. So the outside lane doing well off the banking and into the start of the first lap.
Shane Sullivan making it 2 wide on Eugenio Pellicci coming down into the turn before the banking here. We got him clearing Pellicci, and that's for 9th place. And they're all spread out now, as they tend to get here at Daytona. We'll see them close back up, though, under the draft as they head towards Le Mans Chicane. 26 drivers taking the grid today.
Yep, and the leaders just really condense with the drafting on the banking and then the back straight towards the Le Mans Chicane. Rory Coimbra still leading, as Cam Evans sort of just rolls out of it a little bit to stay in 2nd place. Robert Hartley doing the same. There's a pit stop coming up in this 45-minute race, and you want to be with the lead pack, but like the Tour de France or whatever, maybe you don't want to be every single lap the driver who's right up front. Piatek's getting back into this one, by the way. He's starting to cut his way through the field somewhat as they fan out amongst the leaders, going too wide in some places here.
Yeah, he's deep in the field right now, running alongside James Newell, who's a pro class driver. I'm not sure exactly why he had to take evasive action like that, but unfortunately... Coates is so sideways for the longest time. Manages to just gather it up without anyone hitting him on the way in towards turn 1. Ronnie Coates dropping down now to 10th, 11th, 12th place, getting swallowed up by the pack arriving at speed. He came down off the banking, he braked, and he started to try to follow that arc towards the tightening hairpin, and the rear grip was not there for him. That's tough stuff. And it got pretty exciting there through the S's there. But as they come towards the dog leg, they're straightening it back out again. Little update, Michael Chase, who was involved in that first lap accident, he's blown a motor and he's going to smoke his way back to the pits. I think that's going to be a short day for him. Back to the action, though.
So one of the big movers through the field, Simon Foweather's up to 7th, 5 positions gained. Otis Adams is 8 positions gained inside of the top 10, so we think he had a bit of an odd qualifying, not the one he might have expected. He's now looking to race up the front again. We've got a little bit of a swapsies here. Otis letting Mitchell peak down low on the exit of turn 6, coming back onto the banking.
Yeah, those aren't team cars, but they are drivers that race together a fair bit. So if you're better at pushing or receiving, well, maybe you make that move. Always got to find a good draft partner at Daytona.
Top 6 shapes up to be a little bit of a breakaway, but I think Simon Foweather's picked up a slowdown penalty through the Lamont chicane. He's all the way up the banking and he's slow, and there is a freight train passing him here. If you're ever in Daytona Beach and you see a freight train, it's probably Florida Coastline, I think they're called.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Josh Soto making a move here, holding 2nd place after that qualifying effort that saw him 4th or 5th coming to the grid. Cam Eben and Robert Hartley, Camden Hibbett, all close behind.
Florida East Coast Railway. I've got to get my train facts correct.
I'm glad you checked in. Michael Coates rounds out the top 6. Then that top 6 pack is starting to break away just a little bit. I've got about 5-10 car lengths on Eugenio Pulici behind.
Brian Chabelski's gone around at the first horseshoe, but doesn't seem to have too much damage other than that. He'll hope he can stay with the field, and the answer is he's going for a late apex. Someone else is going for a slightly less late apex.
Yeah, it's always tough. Always tough, and it's easy to make the slightest contact when a guy's really loaded up like that and just send the car flying. Our top 6 is just about breaking away. They got 2 seconds back to Eugenio. And this is going to be a really critical couple of corners for him. See if he can get that Lamont chicane just right and close that gap. Up at the front, they seem pretty content to run in a line.
Of course, the best Florida railway was the one run by some guy called Haynes, who then named a bunch of stuff Haynes in Florida, like Haynes City and Haynes Avenue. And oh, brilliant. It is close up front right now. And you can't miss Cam Eben running the Winding Road livery there as well. It's a team and engineering group very well involved in Mazda MX-5 preparation.
And Mr. Eben, pretty involved in some Spec-5 racing himself, or some MX-5 racing himself. Saw him at the Global MX-5 shootout as a finalist.
Side by side for the race lead. Coimbra's down low. Soto drops back in as they're on that braking zone once again, and Coimbra leads some laps here. Some other positions might have changed hands there. I definitely saw Michael Coates in 6th with a big run.
Yeah, The brake, oh, wow, it got checked up going into the first horseshoe there, but they managed to sort it out. Yeah, the gap that was forming between 6th and 7th has disappeared, so they're all back together again. And we've got a battle going from 1st all the way back through 17th, 18th, thereabouts. There's no more than a second between any of these cars, and in most cases a half second. Oh, and a crash deep in the field. That's David Staub and Andrew Gilliland getting together. Oh, and they just get tangled through the what you call it?
This is the kink. This is the left-hand kink.
The kink, dog leg. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah. And go flying off in the grass. You see it here. And just too wide is always tough through there.
Staub was hoping that there was still a car's width on the exit. Gilliland might have thought he was clear. The two of them have both gone off track, lost a bunch of time, and rejoined right with each other once again, and they are in front of James Newell and Orlando Harrell, and I think a lap down Michael Chase there as well.
Yeah, Michael Chase lapped down after that engine incident earlier on. But despite the fact that we lost 2 drivers out of the middle of that battle pack, they're still 1st through 17th now, looking really, really glued together, maybe 18th. They're doing their freight train impression for you there, Haynes.
Yeah, very nice. Coimbra and Soto, bumpers locked together, but this is about the point of the straight. You click up into 5th gear, 6th gear, and you just hit that wall of air, and the cars behind can really close and close quickly.
Olivier's making a move after that first lap incident. He's now too wide with Otis and coming up the inside. The fans need to get on the dang way. And Olivier makes that move stick, makes it pretty cleanly too. So after dropping back literally to the back of the pack, he's up to 13th, and it's looking like it's going to be 12th if
Alex Harrison's
doesn't
around.
do something. Oh no. Yeah, Harrison's facing the wrong way coming out of the first turn. And he just got it a little bit wrong by the looks of things. It's easy to get the car drifting a little bit, and that's what it was. Keeping with the battle, though.
Yeah, so Piatek now back to the lead of open class, which is where he qualified. Josh Olsen 2nd there, and Andrew Gilliland 3rd in that class for the moment. But it is still a big buzzing MX-5 pack from the leaders. You're not going to find 1 second of open racetrack between Rui Coimbra at the lead and Simon Foweather in 17th place. And they all occupy, for a second, the straight between the hairpin and turn 6.
Yeah, you could go to a real MX-5 race and not see a field that's this tight after 15 minutes. These guys are really doing some impressive racing out here. Speaking of, though, speaking of gaps, it looks like Josh Soto's trying to form a bit of a gap with Rui Coimbra. He's giving him a really good shunt coming off of 2 here.
Coimbra and Soto doing a good job of keeping a couple of car lengths ahead of 3rd, 4th, 5th, and the rest for the moment, but still a massive ask to try to get away with how long and persistent the slipstreaming is around oval 1 and 2, down the back straight towards the chicane, and then through speedway turns 3 and 4 here, and the whole of the tri-oval as well. You've got Robert Hartley up high, losing a couple of spots, looking to chop back behind Cam Eben and Camden Hibbett. Joshua Soto now pulls out of the slipstream for the lead round the outside of leader Rui Coimbra. And Mitchell Peak, he's not trying to save, and maybe the others are here, because now he's round the outside for 3rd place. So position's starting to really change now, and you see who's saying anything inside of the top 10 will be fine for me if I can save fuel, versus who wants to be in the top 3.
Well, it's always good when a Canadian just comes flying by 4 guys at the start-finish line, and Mitchell Peak did just that. But yeah, I think you're right about the fuel saving. It's really starting to get aggressive out there, and I think explains some of the sort of tightness of this pack. Everyone is trying their best to run 50% throttle everywhere. The pit stops in these Spec-5 races are so critical.
Typically, the amount of fuel you need is not great, but the refueling rate of these cars, well, they're not equipped with a GT3 style fuel rig, because that's not really the type of racing they're designed for. So I'd love to tell you how long each gallon takes. The answer is more than the moment of a heartbeat.
Well, and I believe this is one of those cars that has the brakes for the cans of fuel going in too. So when one starts fueling, and then after 4 or 5 gallons go in, then it stops and goes again.
Yep, but you're not going to need 5 gallons. So I think it's all
True,
through the
true.
one jug. Hearing that the fuel that you're going to need is probably somewhere around between 3 to 4 gallons. But again, if you look at any car that's sort of 4th, 5th in this group, you can do the leader's pace with way less throttle. You're riding this wave, this jet stream through what's otherwise long full throttle bursts.
Yeah, our guesstimate on the fuel numbers is that they'll probably need a stop. They might be able to go 13, 14 laps before a stop, and we're only on 6 right now. But it'll all depend on how much fuel they do.
Here, he just dropped out of line, came back in a third, and has maybe decided, is he going to push Mitchell Peak to the lead of the race? No, he drops down in behind Rui Coimbra once again, but it's Peak up high, the Canadian going for the lead at Daytona.
He must put some maple syrup on those tires, doing it around the outside like that. Good and sticky. Good stuff.
Who needs a tyre allocation when you've got a strategic maple syrup reserve?
Ain't that right?
Big dive there into the corner from Cam Eben, who almost hip and shoulders Michael Coates a little bit. Those two were side by side through the first horseshoe. Of course, we all know a horse needs 4 horseshoes.
2 at each end of the paddock.
Or 2 left sides, 2 right sides, depending on how you think about it and how you change them.
I think there's 1 horseshoe at each of the apexes.
I have honestly, I think, exhausted all of the knowledge I have of horses, other than it took until photography before they actually worked out how a horse gallops. And there's the oldie paintings of horses galloping that are anatomically wrong. So they thought that the horses had all 4 legs in the air when the hind legs were rearwards, but it's actually the stroke of the gallop where the stroke, like it's a 4-stroke, where the hind legs are coming forward and the 4 legs are going backwards.
That's also how they came up with the 4-cycle motor, seeing the 4 legs of the horse. 2 truths and a lie? Anyone? No?
Let's purposefully spread misinformation on the internet. This is side-by-side for the race lead at the moment, but we're seeing again Joshua Soto. He's playing these games. He's like, do I want to lead? I'm not sure I want to lead. Mitchell Peak looks like he wants to lead, but he's not really getting any assistance with that. Soto had the opportunity a lap ago to push him around and help him. It didn't happen. And then some of these other drivers just sitting 5th, 6th, 7th. They're seeing the games happening, in 2nd and 3rd, and now we've got 3 lanes for the lead as Michael Coates has speed, and he decides he's going to push Cam Eben through the center lane towards the race lead. Soto is now pushing Rui Coimbra on the bottom lane. Mitchell Peak is still no friends around the outside, it seems, and he gets no help as he's shuffled back to at least 6th.
Yeah, the maple syrup trick only works once or twice before everyone figures it out. And he drops back to 5th place, does Peak there, 6th place even, as they're going into the horseshoe.
You're putting the syrup in the pantry, in the fridge, what's the go?
Oh, pantry for sure.
Pantry for sure, all right.
No
Peanut butter?
refrigeration required.
I've always been peanut butter goes in the pantry, right? But I got one recently and said refrigerate after opening, and I was like, what?
What? Oh, and dive up the inside here. That looks like Camden Hibbett making a move, and I was kind of wondering when Camden was going to make his move. That was a nice little move on Michael Coates. He slots into line. Does Camden up in 4th now? Started the lap in 6th place, and I have a feeling that if Camden feels like it's time to see the front of the field, he's going to keep on going. All this early phase of the race is kind of just saving fuel and rehearsing for the end. You want to see what you got and what kind of timing you're going to need to get it done.
So it's the leader left of screen, Cam Eben still in the draft, Joshua Soto pulling out, Camden Hibbett, my word, filling that vacuum, but who Soto pushes leads at the moment. Coimbra now alone, down low to the inside, coming in here and chops into 3rd.
Now these new fast drivers out here, Cam and Camden, Mitchell and Michael, they need to get us a Josh to go with Josh next.
The two coats.
Yeah. They're making it hard on us up here in the booth, but probably not as hard as it is down there, as Josh Soto seems to be pushing the heck out of Cam Eben.
We've got some takers for pit road here as well. It's going to split the leading pack as into pit lane comes Camden Hibbert, Cam Eben, Olivia Piatek, and Shane Sullivan. Most of the rest of the leaders carrying on, but this is a clear strategy and coordinated call between Cam Eben and Camden Hibbert.
Ooh, Shane Sullivan overshot the pit box a little bit. That's going to cost him. And we'll see who saved the most during the first stint.
Left sides for Eben.
It's a little bit surprising.
Else with any tire jack action going on. They get away at about the same time regardless. You've got a long pit exit now. The pit speed used to end about there. Now you've got to carry pit speed of 45 miles an hour all the way through the inside
55.
of the horseshoe here. 55?
Yeah, it's 55 out here in Daytona, and it is a fast left-hander, real close to that pit wall at one. Cam Eben didn't look super comfortable on those left side tires going into the first horseshoe. It might take a bit to warm those up.
Expecting a reaction out of some of the other leaders then, as pit call has also split the leading group. It was sort of all the way down at 18th or so. Now you've just got a top 8, then a bit of a gap. Otis Adams Jr., Ray Lombardi, Alex Theologus, and Geordie Fike there. Josh Olsen, Andrew Gill, and David Starb are off that group at the moment. So this is now the race lead. Joshua Soto. Did he make enough friends in the first half of this race?
Yeah, curious to see. He spent a lot of time with Rory Coimbra ahead of him. Now he's got Rory Coimbra nowhere in sight, back in third, I guess. But a bright green car between himself and Coimbra. A definite bit of a gap forming. A couple cars going below that yellow line.
A couple, but not all. Mitchell Peak cuts the most dramatic line to pit entry and arrives almost side by side with Joshua Soto.
Michael Coates was real close to crossing the line. There was some talk in the pre-race that if you're crossing the line, you might incur a penalty, and I think I saw all 4 tires over at one point.
Got to hold the line. Love isn't always on time. This is the drivers in pit lane, Joshua Soto and Mitchell Peak. No sign of tyres out of anyone else, which is kind of what we'd expected. The cold tyres are difficult to warm up and then don't give you that much grip advantage. So the positives is maybe just a tiny bit more grip later on. The negatives is the time you lose trying to warm up a cold set of tyres and how challenging that can be. So, where are these drivers going to join relative to Camden Hibbert and Cam Eben, who've clearly been working together while they've been apart from the rest of the pack to try to not lose too much time from pitting early? And the answer is Soto looks just ahead for the moment.
Yeah, Soto holds it, and I didn't see any tires go on Soto's car, so I got to think he's sitting pretty here, warm tires and full of fuel. Stop-wise, the numbers look pretty similar. Soto may be a little bit quicker than Camden was by about a second. All comes down to how much they saved in that first draft, though.
Cute little quirk of iRacing that I reminded of by Joshua Soto is that there's Gran Turismo branding at Tsukuba that iRacing scanned and put into iRacing, because there was iRacing branding somewhere else that Polyphony Digital scanned and put into Gran Turismo. But Forza isn't in on it. Forza removed iRacing branding from one of the circuits they scanned. So now iRacing removed Forza branding anywhere it's present at iRacing tracks.
Oh man, that is some juicy drama. That is entertaining.
It's very, very high school, and I'm here for it.
Ooh.
A couple more drivers opting to pit, and we are not seeing, the whole pack come together on one lap. We're seeing sort of 2 this lap, 2 that lap, 3 now on this lap, as it's Robert Hartley, Michael Coates, and Eugenio Pollicci in, leaving Ronnie Coates, Rui Coimbra, and Simon Foweather as the top 3 running long.
It's easier to get into pit lane with less traffic, so it could be that sort of situation for these guys. Either way, though, we got, looks like Ronnie Coates leading the pack right now. I guess that's Rui Coimbra leading the pack from Ronnie Coates.
And then Simon Foweather, you've got Ray Lombardi and Alex Theologus just out of the slipstream behind, but are they helping themselves when everyone else is pitted and now your leaders are going side by side through the infield? Not sure they are. As Coates now does get back ahead.
We'll have to see. The packs are rejoining, though, deeper in the field. We got Cam Evans slamming the door shut on Robert Hartley, kind of pushing him wide in that first horseshoe, and then pushing wide himself does Cam. And Camden Hibbett comes through and takes the spot away from Cam.
And then you can see Michael Coates, Mitchell Peake, Shane Sullivan, the group in the background, hoping that they'll catch these guys, reunite the gang from before all of the pit stops kicked off.
Yeah, they've got that second little group running together, and we'll see. Looks like they'll be able to close that gap up. Meanwhile, back at the front, we got Rui Coimbra now following Ronnie Coates through the Le Mans chicane, with Simon Foweather hanging off the back, and Ray Lombardi wishing he was there, a little further behind. And the lights are on at Daytona.
Yep, starting to get a little dark out there, heading towards pit in for these leaders. Still above the yellow line, carrying on. Coimbra pushing Coates, Foweather closing in on the trio.
That team, not a team, making a good showing here, getting some points.
This is the group of the cars that have already made their stop.
Oh no, and just behind them I'm seeing a bright green car, Michael Coates, up by the wall. I'm guessing he's got a penalty, and that's going to really put a damper, especially with how aggressively the bump drafting is kicking off now. Speaking of aggressive, Mitchell Peake just got a heck of a shunt from Shane Sullivan behind, and they're going to be like freight train into turn number 1. Ooh. And Camden Hibbett kind of ran it a little bit wide and just left the door wide open on the exit for Cam Eben. Gotta wonder if either one of them is a little worried about fuel with how much ground they were able to make up in the stop. There seems to be two sort of schools of thought. One group of guys that did 53 seconds, and then another group of guys that did around 50 seconds total lane time.
In that group, we're also catching Charles Vaccaro, who hasn't stopped yet. This is another group that hasn't stopped yet. Foweather salmoning his way upstream past Ronnie Coates now, maybe past Rui Coimbra. Lombardi's done a great job of catching them. Suddenly, the golden purple machine is right with the race leaders, bringing Alex Theologus and Otis Adams Jr. with him as well. So 6 cars linking up together here suggests that Coimbra and Coates, whatever they were up to, wasn't the fastest way around the racetrack, and they might have been a little too side by side through some of the corners, costing themselves time compared to drivers who are working together, Eben and Hibbett. Is this pit in lap with 19 minutes to go here? And again, leapfrogging, not pushing. Pit entry on your left. Lombardi signals early, and now Rui Coimbra brings them all down.
Yeah, Ronnie Coates maximizing, getting all the way to the cone on the right-hand side.
And in the track map, you've got Cam Eben, Camden Hibbett, the 32, amongst the leading group of cars that have pitted, and then also picking up the cars that are in pit lane. That gap will close quickly.
A couple overshoots. I saw Simon Foweather and I think Otis overshoot as well. Never good for your pit lane time, but hard to get slowed down.
Think about this. You come flying into a Walmart car park at 55 miles an hour and you try to stop perfectly in just one bay.
Yeah, no, so I stick to this gig, you know.
It's just one of those things, you know, in racing, 55 miles an hour, incredibly slow, but then suddenly you've got to stop in one pit. Round goes Mitchell Peak. Did he get some help at turn 1? Cars are exiting pit lane one side of him. Cars are on the racetrack the other side. And
it looked like it was all alone to me. He just kind of got loose, braking a little too hard while he was turning and managed to get the thing turned around, but that's cost him some time. He'll be hoping that they fight ahead of him. Oh, and another one goes off. Otis is off in the second horseshoe. No, first horseshoe.
Just finishing up the look at Peak here, who did, get in a little bit too hot. I guess sort of gloves off now. We've seen absolutely everyone except Orlando Harrell through the pit lane at this time.
Orlando Harrell saving fuel as usual. And yeah, in the melee, we lost Otis. We're seeing it here. He gets a little loose and then tries to catch it, snaps, and around he goes. Luckily, not a huge cost for time, but you know, it only takes 4 or 5 seconds to drop out of the draft, so that'll be a hard one for him to come back from. And our battle pack of 19 is suddenly a battle pack of 3, 4, maybe 6, depending on how you count them.
Remember, HJBC.live has the live timing right now. And this is the net race lead. Eben, Hibbert, Soto, Hartley, for all his life, trying to stay with them. And then, maybe if Polici gives Shane Sullivan a little bit of a push, he can get with them as well. Then you've got 3 seconds to Ronnie Coates, Rui Coimbra, Olivia Piatek, still leading the open class. Second in open right now. Andrew Gilliland and Josh Olsen, though Orlando Harrell could, after his stop right now, rejoin inside of the top 3.
Yeah, I was doing some digging before the race. Robert Hartley in this lead pack, who's driving his way back up. He's the XRF champion of 2016, won the ST class there, racing the Mustang. Seems the skills transfer to the Miata as well. I think no, I take that back. ST class, that would have been the Miata there. So he's got a long history racing this car.
So I'm looking at where Orlando Harrell is going to rejoin. It might be third in class, so he's just hitting the part of the pit exit now. Definitely behind Piatek. Andrew Gilliland's on track there, and then you're looking to be ahead of Josh Olsen if you're going to be an open class podium. So that very well might be where he rejoins. Got a couple of pals here.
Josh Olsen. As I say, that was Josh Olsen still in third in class away from Orlando.
It's 15 minutes to go in the top 6. Clumping up and reuniting. Evans leading from Hibbert, from Soto. Hartley, he's close enough that he's beginning to draw in, and he forms the bridge to Shane Sullivan, who I think has not only got a bit of pace all to his own, but potentially gotten some help from Eugenio Polici.
Yeah, and they're getting that big run now, coming off of 3 or 2. And really surprised. The leaders must be doing some fuel saving with how much ground they're making up in the braking zone here.
Really does condense massively on the way into the chicane there. So suddenly Hartley's all over them, and so Sullivan, so's Polici.
Yeah, if they keep fuel saving that hard, we might very well see the second pack catch back up to them, even though they're 4 seconds back right now.
He's closing a little bit. Rui Coimbra's got a lot of speed. Olivia Piatek behind him probably doesn't feel the need to fight him, given they're in completely different divisions. Speaking of divisions, you've got 3 down low, 2 up high. Hartley being pushed by Sullivan around Eben, Hibbert, and Soto, and into the race lead, trying to dive in there. Polici then has to check himself up a little bit. He drops back to 6, but he thought he could also get some of this. Is this what they want, though? Is this what Hibbert and Soto and Eben want? Someone else to lead?
With how easy that pass went, I was going to ask you the same thing. That was about the easiest round the outside that you'll ever see going into turn number 1 there. I gotta wonder if Eben, Hibbett, and Soto guessed a little low on their fuel and are feeling some pressure to get that fuel save. It's always tough when you do the first half of the race in the draft to get accurate fuel numbers for yourself in the second half. So if you didn't ever lead, you might not know what your consumption looks like.
Back out onto the banking. Hartley now leading. Sullivan into second place. Some good moves so far here. The big question now, as you see Cam Eben close in behind Sullivan, is what does he do? Does he push? Does he just sit a little distance back and save? And I think he's pushing.
Yeah, that was a bump for sure.
Now he saves.
And then he lifts off, yeah. They're not saving in the second group, though. Ray Lombardi just took a heck of a hit and kept it straight coming off of number 2 there. But the bumps are real back there, and they got that gap down to about 3.5 seconds at one point on the banking, ticking back up over to 4 now. We'll see if they're able to close it up and make this another 14-car battle again.
It's like rowing at the Olympics. There's 6 in one boat up front, but there's 5 in this next group trying to catch them. Paddling like mad, I'd say.
Leader's getting wild. Yeah, and Fullweather's having a bit of an issue. Looks like he's retiring from the race. But yeah, the leaders are getting wild. That was Josh Soto shooting the gap on the middle as Robert Hartley dropped all the way to the back.
So then side by side with Sullivan on the inside here. Soto out there. Maybe a little too out there as Eben now gets a good run through. Piatek goes to the lead of the next group. They've also had a little bit of a change on the way into turn 1. So it sits at 3 seconds between Eugenio Pollicci in 6th to Piatek in 7th. That's the gap that the second group needs to close down if we're going to have an 11-way fight for the victory here at Daytona International Speedway. Spec-5 World Tour's new season in 2024. You don't count it out when you see this kind of battling from the leading group, but it is still a big ask to try to find 3 seconds.
Yeah, it's definitely tough, but like you said, they're not running the optimal lines right now up at the front. They're working pretty hard. Almost 10 minutes to go.
No traction out of turn 6. Big moment. We'll check up the momentum of this pack immediately. Eben goes to bumping him. Soto goes, do I pull up around the outside? He doesn't. He drops back in, but Camden Hibbett thinks about that. Really finding as much speed as you'd expect up around the high line, and still you've got Hartley and Eugenio Pollicci in tow, but here comes that next group of cars. Still 3 seconds behind 6th place, fanning out for the race lead here. Sullivan, I think, has got it as Eben tries to drop back in. Policci's going to dive bomb Hartley on the way in, overshoot it a little bit. Not quite what they need. Tenths for this top 6 versus the next group of cars.
Yeah, that was a scary moment there too. As they're coming down the back straight, Shane really slammed the door shut on Camden Hibbett. But props to Hibbett for seeing that coming and just deciding to back it off and recognize that, hey, we got a few more laps in this thing before taking that draft all the way up around the outside to the lead, coming to the line.
Of course, S. Sullivan, not to be confused with USS The Sullivans. It's World War II cruiser. Cruiser, frigate, I don't know. I actually don't know. But Camden Hibbett, he's to the inside here. Joshua Soto, who's quick in, a little wide out. The marbles build up massively out there, and you just don't get to run well through this S's towards the horseshoe. Now it's suddenly only 2.2 seconds from Hartley to Rui Coimbra, and you've got another look for the race lead here as Camden Hibbett gets down the inside of Joshua Soto. We're too wide for the lead, too wide that next group. And Rui Coimbra seems to be competently leading pack number 2.
Yeah, Rui Coimbra took another big chunk out of them that time through the first turn and the first horseshoe. He's now down to as little as 1.5 seconds through the kink, and I got to think that if he can hold that on the exit here, hold it onto the banking, they'll be right in that draft, and they'll be a 10-person battle pack here for us to run into the finish. And that could very well put Olivier Piatek in that open class car, leading by 7 positions at this point. That could put him in contention for some big points here after the first round.
Yeah, he's on for a good haul. Here's Cam's Inhibit pulling out of the draft, running high on the banking, trying to side draft around Joshua Soto. And that, of course, gives lots of options to those behind. Do they try to push him? Do they try to slot through the gap differently? Sullivan's going to push Soto to the lead. Eben decides, no, I'm going to leave Joshua Soto high and dry. And they eventually go single file on their way through. But now there's only 1.4 seconds from Robert Hartley in 6th. Rui Coimbra is charging in 7th with Michael Coates and Ronnie Coates behind him. Could be some teamwork afoot here as well, saying, come on, we've still got a chance with 4 laps to go to get amongst the leading fight and turn it from a boxing match to an all-in brawl.
Yeah, if you've ever watched the onboards of the real Spec Miatas, they're doing all sorts of hand signals. Then we got lots of waving going on right now as they go 3 wide into the first turn. This is going to be an action moment here. And Camden again decides patience. He backs out of it a little bit, holds the inside line, and he's going to hold 3rd place.
You seem to pick up good power when you're tight off the exit. If you get in too hot to turn 1, you really can just end up washing out, scrubbing off all of the speed. 1 second, Hartley to now Michael Coates has jumped around. Oh, we're going to get it, Devon. We're going to get that Daytona finish for Spec-5 World Tour.
Yeah, and while they've been battling, Ray Lombardi's actually joined that second pack as well. So now it'll be 1st through 11th battling for the win.
It will be. Look, no gap anymore between pack number 1 and pack number 2. With 6.5 minutes to go, 3 or 4 more laps depending on, and that depending on will be very important for some of the drivers that still need to save a little bit of fuel. Shortest pit stop I see as far as fuel drop is 18.5 for Joshua Soto, 18 for Robert Hartley, whereas some like Rui Coimbra took 21 seconds of fuel. They might be a little more confident with that extra half a litre.
They're 2 wide going into the chicane. Eben drops back into line. But what do we got? 3 minutes, 2.5 minutes? It's 5 minutes, and they're going to be getting more and more aggressive as we keep going. That's about 3 laps this time by.
Big push from 3rd on 2nd place, closing down the leader. The friends, teammates go high around Joshua Soto. Sullivan tries to follow through as well. He gets a good run, 3 wide.
Pretty aggressive side draft there from Shane. Gets right underneath the bumper of Cam before he hits the brakes. Tries that outside line again. Almost works for him, but he loses some ground trying to get back to throttle, and that lets Josh Soto hold on to 2nd.
Piatek, big dive.
Ooh.
Finds a lane to the inside here as he shoves Hartley out.
And it's been pointed out, Piatek, he's on our overlay, he's listed as pro class, but we believe that he's open class. That remains to be confirmed.
I think you mean that the other way around?
No, he is open class in the session, but new to the season, so sometimes drivers' placements move around a little bit. But we believe he's an open class driver right now, leading the open class.
Right.
And that's that green car, currently 6th in line.
Top 11 here, now covered by the 3 seconds. Though, as they run out on the banking, it closes up or spreads out a little bit through the corners and in the braking zones. Cam Eben getting pushed by Joshua Soto. Cam's Inhibit looks to the inside here, maybe only just to defend his position. Not a whole lot of changes that time on the way into the bus stop. Now is about when you're 3rd or 4th in the train and you start rehearsing. Where do I pull out of the draft if I want to get my nose to the start-finish line first? Eben up high, Eben down low. ebbing and flowing, if you will.
I don't know what that was all about. Maybe trying to, spook the guys behind, but hasn't worked. They formed up on his outside, and that's Shane Sullivan getting a mighty push from. Shane Sullivan giving a mighty push to the yellow car.
Sullivan was nose ahead at the start-finish line that time by 0.000 on Cam Eben. Would have been a dead heat photo finish if that was the final lap. Instead, we've got 2 more to go. Can we get a repeat? Can it be that close once again? It is certainly getting far more feisty, far more side-by-side racing for the lead at Spec-5 World Tour.
And I had that call all wrong. Sullivan is in the yellow car. It was Polici giving him the push, but he was so close behind him that I couldn't tell the difference between the names. Piatek now giving the push to Polici. And they're swarming around.
Rui Coimbra, who thought he could maybe gain a couple of positions through the infield here before they negotiate turn 6 and they're back out onto the banking once again. Michael Coates is the driver at the very tail of this group right now, but you sit in 11th and you still have a very, very good view of a podium position, and you maybe dare to let yourself dream.
Yeah, it's been kind of interesting to see Ray and Coates kind of hanging way, way back there. I don't know if they're worried about the big one or if they're worried about fuel, because the two of them have dropped all the way to the back of the pack.
So the white flag will wait for the race leader on the tri-oval at Daytona International Speedway this time around. It's a dead heat between Eben and Sullivan. Last time they crossed the start-finish line. Might be close again. We'll see who takes the white flag, who can get some big momentum through the speedway. Turns 3 and 4. The top 3 fan out. There is a little bit of contact. Just as Sullivan was coming up, Soto was coming up as well, and Soto had to make a big move to the high side of the racetrack to come around in the lead, take the white flag, and give us one more tour of Daytona International Speedway. There's contact back there, 3 wide, as Polici will shoot through the infield, through into the runoff, and we keep racing.
Yeah, Sullivan
Oates and Lombardi are out there as well, so we've lost 3 cars from the leading pack starting the final lap.
Oh, that's tough luck, but we got to follow the lead. A little more contact at the back as Coates makes contact with Rui Coimbra as they were all checked up going into the horseshoe. The bumpers are now unleashed. So it would seem Joshua Soto leading from Cam Eben, Camden Hibbett. Sullivan's back in 4th here with Piatek 5th and Robert Hartley 6th. Hartley looking down the inside of Piatek there at the Western Horseshoe. Doesn't really work. Ronnie Coates and Rui Coimbra now 7th and 8th. Wondering if they can do anything. Oh, there's a massive checkup. There's a big lift. No one wants to lead on to the banking. Soto and Eben, some of these guys might still need to save fuel. They might need to save big on the way into the bus stop. And there's a huge conflagration. 3 wide, 4 wide. No one wanting to lead right now. And the drivers who are at the front of the pack have maybe realized, on their fuel numbers as Eben runs up high and nearly fences Piatek. I think he's already got a little bit of help from Hartley. Yeah, it's getting wild out there. It's oh so rare that the driver who leads into the bus stop takes the checkered flag first, so none of them want to do it. 4 wide. The gamesmanship is insane. Look at Rui Coimbra keeping himself a couple of car lengths back. He thinks he can go for a massive run from 8th as they all slow up in front of him. That's Coimbra's mission. Hartley all the way up the banking. He wants someone else to take it so he can side draft them. It's not going to happen, but he's got Piatek and Eben up there with him. Now they all drop down. Sullivan has nowhere to go. He's got to push someone. Hartley's got a couple of car lengths advantage here, but it could close in an instant on the way to the checkered flag. 8 cars in the leading group. I think Coimbra is actually out of fuel, not strategic. They can run below the yellow line on the way to the checkered flag. And for the first win in season 15 of Spec-5 World Tour, Cam Eben has it by 0.06 of a second from Ronnie Coates, and Olivier Piatek takes 3rd. The open class leader is decided, but second and third are still up for grabs. Andrew Gilliland is running around the high side of turn 3 on the exit, trying to catch a draft off of David Staub, but a better run going to third place, and that's Orlando Harrell sweeping around the outside. It's going to be a photo finish at the line for the open class, and I think that Gilliland was able to hold on to it.
Yep, Gilliland from Harrell, from Otis Adams, from David Staub in that section of drivers there. And, fireworks are going off through the infield for our drivers, and in the infield, Eben has no fuel. He's being pushed around. So they really, really cut it super fine. But throughout all of the schmozzle, the back and forth, the run from the bus stop to the checkered flag, Cam Eben holds on for the win. Ronnie Coates second. Olivia Piatek, the O is correct for open class, but there should be a blue line underneath it. Then Joshua Soto, Robert Hartley, Camden Hibbert, Rui Coimbra running out of fuel, Ray Lombardi, Eugenia Polici, Michael Coates. Some of them coming together late on in that race. Then Mitchell Peake, Alex Theologus, Geordie Fike. Second and third in open class, Gilliland and Orlando Harrell. So what happened to Josh Olsen?
We're seeing
and David
here.
Olivan, Brian Jabelski, and James Newell completing the top 20. Two more cars on the lead lap were Charles Vaccaro and Alex Harrison. One lap down, Michael Chase, and that happened so early on to him, and he stuck it out regardless. And then Josh Olsen ends up 2 laps back. Simon Fower, 7 laps down, and Gareth Brocklesby was a very early retirement.
Wow, and I'm excited to get to talk to some of these drivers if they make it up. There were some exciting runs there at the end. If we don't get to it, Ronnie Coates managed to cross the line in 9th place the lap before the finish, and use all that drafting and racing experience to draft himself all the way up to a 2nd place finish. We got an open class driver finishing in 3rd overall. That's some good stuff, and it looks to me like that open class driver has arrived. Olivier, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
You feeling great?
I'm feeling all right.
Well, this seems pretty calm for a guy who just pulled off a win in the open class in his first attempt.
I didn't win. I'm pro class. It was just a mistake. It was a typo.
Oh, no. Well, hey, it was a good finish for you in 3rd place then.
Yeah, it was all right. Not bad. My monitor shut off in lap 1, so I dropped all the way to dead last. Didn't fuel save at all, so huge gap to leaders that we were able to track down. So it feels nice to at least pull off the podium.
Well, solid race. Thanks for coming out and putting on a show.
Yep, thank you.
So now I've got the real open class winner, Andrew Gilliland. Andrew, how's it feeling?
Oh, it's amazing, man. I'm glad to be back and racing here at Daytona. It's been fantastic.
That's more like it. We grabbed Olivier because he had been mislabeled as an open class driver, but a solid performance from you there, and it came right down to the wire.
Yeah, we got a little bit tight there because kind of lost where I wanted to go and just kind of had to stick it somewhere. And in order to take that lead there, really close there with 2nd place.
Any strategy considerations for you today?
I mean, just kind of followed what everybody else is doing. Maybe took a little lunge going into the pits, kind of getting ahead, then going, kind of going to play my race, make everybody else do that so I can be on top of that. But I mean, other than that, really just racing to the finish.
Well, if your race strategy involves you winning, then you should probably use that one every single time, eh?
Absolutely.
Well, good stuff and a good performance. Anyone you need to shout out today?
I'd like to thank Aussie Sales and Heato Facility Solutions, and then I'd just like to thank a lot of my friends and family. One driver, Camden Hibbert, just for all the help throughout the season and kind of the practices. That helps a lot, and it's really good to kind of get into these faster class and start to race higher up in the standings. So, yeah, and I'd like to thank my mom and dad just for making all this possible, and yeah.
Cheers. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And Haynes,
Well, hey-
you managed to track down that pro class winner?
Yep, we get to the outright winner, and congrats, Cam. You were amongst a group of sort of 6 leading, then it became a group of 11, and we know chaos happens at Daytona in packs.
Yeah, thank you. It was definitely a bit nerve-wracking being at the front with all those cars behind. Not exactly sure how to play it because, as we found out, being in the lead is not exactly where you want to be. But it worked out that some of the drivers behind me started getting aggressive, and I was able to slot in for a P2 spot and then just take the run to the line and play the lanes. So a bit hectic, but definitely best-case scenario, I would say.
Yeah, no doubt. What about the strategy then? Pitting early, we saw drivers come and pit across a variety throughout the window.
My plan was, since there was quite a bit of checkup and lollygagging going on, if you will, at the very beginning, was to save as much as I could and then pit as early as possible and then just do a full push to the end. I guess it allowed us to cycle through to the lead, but not much of a breakaway was had. So maybe I'll have to adjust the strat going forward, but that's what I was looking at for that attempt there.
What's the go with tires in a 45-minute race here?
This time I took left sides just for like the hairpin corners in the infield. The oval doesn't really matter too much. I don't know. It was a bit iffy on the outlap with cold tires, but we'll have to see how it maybe plays out at other tracks besides Daytona. Maybe I won't be able to get away with it, but we'll see.
And we're going to see you plenty this season at the tracks other than Daytona?
Yep, I'm planning to do a bid for a full season just about, so hopefully gonna make a run at the championship. Just want to thank all the drivers and league owners involved with the series, making it happen and being very welcoming to me and other new drivers this season, so looking forward to it.
There's certainly plenty of other drivers inside of that top 10 that look capable of challenging you. Ronnie Coates, quick as ever. Camden Hibbett, mighty quick.
Yep, all those drivers.
Josh Risotto too. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you throughout the season. Congratulations on best foot forward at the first time of asking.
Thanks, David, and thank you guys for the broadcast. I appreciate it. Take care.
There we go. The pro class winner, Cam Eben, joining us, and his winning margin, 65 thousandths of a second. 2 laps to go. It was just a little closer, but hey, we did have no one wanting to lead into the bus stop, and it gave us quite a dramatic result all the way to the end. This being the finishing result for your top 20 at the end. And once again, congratulations, Andrew Gilliland, Orlando Herald there in the open class. Some good results for them to kick off their championship too. The championship continues in just 1 week's time. Devin, we're looking forward to that, and people can watch it here as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Spec-5 never disappoints. There's always a draft and always a battle.
So from myself, David Haynes here with Devin Peters and Michael Derby, bringing you Spec-5 World Tours Season 15 this year. That's been round 1, and we'll see you every Thursday night through to the May 16 Championship finale.